My grandpa has been medically diagnosed with depression. He has been on medication for the past 20 years. There was a time when he was switching doctors, and since the medication is classified as an SSRI, also known as a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, he had a difficult time finding a doctor willing to prescribe it to him. Medications classified as SSRI are a class of drugs used as antidepressants to treat some mental disorders. When he's off his medication, he resorts to marijuana because his thoughts of suicide get so overpowering. He's not a bad man, so when he actually took part in something that is legal in Texas, I finally realized how bad he has it. Your loved ones may also be suffering from this mental disorder, but they may not even know it. According to the World Health Organization, more than 300 million people are now living with depression. Being able to see the signs of depression before it gets too serious is something we all need to be capable of. I have been medically diagnosed with depression and I don't take medication for it. Because of my diagnosis, I have chosen to do more research on the mental disorder to learn as much as I can about it. Depression is a complicated but understandable mental disorder. In order to completely understand depression, one must learn about the symptoms, triggers, and how to cope with it. Life is meant to be enjoyed, but people who suffer from depression have a completely different perspective on it all. Symptoms of depression may vary among people. Some may suffer from overwhelming sadness, suicidal thoughts, and a constant feeling of numbness. Speaking from personal experience, I've had weeks where I distance myself from everyone because I'm in a weird state where I feel as if I'm watching my life go on without me. My family has also noticed that I fight less with them, and PsychCom states that women are more likely to avoid conflicts when depressed. I've had moments where those weeks of feeling numb get so unbearable I get an urge to end everything, and those suicidal thoughts reoccur throughout those low weeks of mine. SAMHSA states that the feelings that come with depression are much stronger and long-lasting than the ups and downs of everyday life. They're so strong at times that they can affect one's ability to get up and go about their normal everyday activities. Depression has a long-lasting effect on its victims. When you're finally able to get back on your feet and get your head on straight, you wish you'll never get that low again, and you try everything you can to prevent it from happening again. Women who are depressed also feel anxious and scared, and as for men, they feel guarded. Carrying around the weight of depression is a burden I wouldn't wish upon anyone. Now that we have discussed the symptoms of depression, we will now discuss what triggers them. Depression is like a lion hunting its prey. It creeps up slowly, you can sense it coming, but you have no way to escape it because it's all in your head. Escaping the jaws of depression are somewhat impossible. You just never know when it's all going to hit you until after you've had a crying fit in the middle of your 8-hour work shift. If one was a victim of rape or if a really close family member passed away, those traumatic experiences have a major contribution to the development of mental disorders such as depression. Aaron Beck, an American psychiatrist, has also suspected that mechanisms such as the cognitive triad, negative self-schemas, and errors in logic are just as responsible for causing depression. The cognitive triad is a typical way depressed people think about themselves, the world, and the future. As time goes on, this way of thinking can interfere with their normal thinking process due to the fact that everything they think about turns out negative. Negative self-schemas are the negative expectations and beliefs a depressed individual has about themselves. Errors in logic is the way a person blames things completely out of their hands on themselves. It's illogical and causes a person to have anxiety or depression. Coping with depression is hard enough, but there are times when it gets harder than usual. Depression isn't something you can make go away with a few breathing exercises, but taking a moment to calm down, having a good support system, and sleeping enough all have positive effects. My mother, a licensed professional counselor, states that a good support system, such as friends, family, and case managers, all have positive effects on people with depression. Having people to turn to when you can't help yourself is a relief in a way, because they care and want the best for you. Case managers help you find care that is necessary for you to get better, whether it's counseling or a doctor who will prescribe medication for depression. People who are depressed tend to stress out more than others, and when one starts to feel the weight of stress, stepping back from the problems helps clear your head. When people with depression start to seek out forms of therapy, some come across CBT, which is also known as cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT can be used to treat people with depression and was founded by Aaron Beck in the 1960s. This form of therapy is a short term and it focuses more on the problems at hand by helping one notice the flaws in their ways. All in all, everyone needs to be more aware of mental disorders. The people you know and love may even be suffering from them. Mental disorders shouldn't be taken lightly. They're deadly in some cases. I can't even imagine how different things would be if my grandpa wasn't on medication. He has a beautiful soul that is burdened by depression, but he lives every day like it could be his last despite his problems. People who suffer from depression have a choice to make. They have to decide whether they want to fight for their sanity or let it dwindle down to nothing. As someone who constantly struggles with this mental disorder, I personally chose to fight, and yes, it gets challenging, yes, I consider giving up, but I believe knowing the symptoms, triggers, and how to cope with it can help us all help ourselves and others.